water, so there's that too.
Is that true?
Yeah, for sure. Like northern Minnesota lakes, for sure.
We're talking about very different lakes then.
Okay, gotcha. Not the seaweed algae lakes, but yes, continue on.
No, I assume every lake that I was ever in as a child was contaminated in some way with definitely stuff that's not good for you. And we are live. What's going on, everybody? NBA Live Before Lock, Tuesday, March 17th edition. Just having a little conversation about dirty lakes versus clean lakes. You know, the obvious way that everybody starts a show. We've got a 6-game slate here tonight. We've got a boatload of ownership coming into Minnesota, and they're not even the most chalky thing that exists today. We'll break it all down over the next hour and then send it over to Greg Ehrenberg. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and follow us both on Twitter. This is at Josh Engleman, at Eric Lindquist. What's up, buddy?
Not much. Galveston, Texas, dirty water. Love everything about this insane slate that we've got before us, where Indy's on a back-to-back, so we get to do the same thing tomorrow no matter what. That'll be very joyous and splendid. They play Portland back home, but going back to the Garden where they actually won as massive dogs beginning of February, so that'll be fun to kind of navigate through. But now we just got Giannis ruled out. We've got Randall and Io who are going to be infinity % owned. We've got Khalil Ware without Bam. We've got what else do we have? We have Washington in general, so everybody playing Washington is live to be something fun. We've got up-tempo games. We've got value. We've got contrarian options on some of those teams, the Nas Reeds of the world. I mean, we've got a slate with eternal amount of plays.
It's crazy. Now, I had the Minnesota stuff this morning. It was potentially going to get crazier with Nas Reed, but I did have all of the Minnesota value when I did the strategy show this morning. And then Ware was an obvious, like, well, if Bam gets ruled out, Ware will be 1,000,000% owned. And he is. Alvarado, Jose Alvarado, that is 3,200 starting for the Knicks. Shout out to your mom. Perfect timing.
No.
I'm not Irish, but she can still kiss me. That's for sure. Anywho, Jose Alvarado, 3,200, point guard eligible against the Indiana Pacers, 70% owned in our data at the moment, 62% optimal, and a real fun boom score here, 50.00. It is 50 on the nose. Coin flip for Alvarado to hit his value at this number. Name the starter. Don't know what else you could possibly do here other than play Jose Alvarado. He looks fantastic. Do you have a negative take for Jose Alvarado by any chance?
No. Maybe that we've got value that's going to pop up at other positions, but I mean, he destroys point guard right now. As you can see on your screen, everything outside of LaMelo Ball is not a point guard. So it's like, all the value, all the highest owned plays don't really exist there. We have some interesting tournament pieces that you can get to. I think SGA, obviously on a slate with tons of value, is always going to be something that you want to talk about. And they're on a back-to-back themselves where they play Brooklyn tomorrow. And I do think OKC is one of those teams where, like, maybe we get a couple more minutes out of Hartenstein knowing that they're going to rest him tomorrow. Maybe they give a couple more minutes to Chet Holmgren thinking they'll rest him tomorrow. I mean, OKC's been so strategic with back-to-backs throughout the course of this dynasty that they've been on, this dynasty run for the last 2.5, 3 years. And I don't think that slows down anytime here. I think you might get some increased minutes in some unexpected places, especially because they have like 48 guards behind SGA. So like if SGA just played a bunch more, sweet. But the point is, Jose Alvarado just got announced starting, and there's just not a planet where you're going to project him for under 24 minutes. And that means that on this planet at 3,200, he's a good fantasy producer. He's kind of impossible. Like, he's right now 100% guy for me.
No, I can't. There's nothing else to add. Like,
no.
7.5x value. The next closest guy is Io DeSumo at 6 flat. It's like 1 point. Like, that's so much in comparison to a guy that's like projected really well, extra minutes, extra role today. Alvarado's blowing him out of the water. Could he play more than 24 and a half minutes? Absolutely. And I'd be very surprised if he played less. It's just, he has to really blow tonight to not be in the winning lineup.
Or you get what Kyle Heilfiker, is that what it says? Kyle, what he said in the chat there, SG and Cade together. Like, here's the problem. You still can play another point guard, and you probably want to in some way, shape, or form when one of them is $3,200. We're going to get some kind of value from Indy. I'm assuming we're going to get something ridiculous. I'd be surprised if we had like a 10, 11 man rotation from them. Not completely out of the question, but I'd be pretty surprised. So something's going to break our way there that could potentially open up some more value at other positions. But like, there's nothing that looks remotely close to Alvarado. Nothing sub 4K. No. Sharif Cooper is like kind of a thing, but like not really. And especially now that we've got Io and Randall and all of these guys to kind of have in the mid-range, Shamit's probably my next favorite guy sub 4K because he's just, if you get some kind of failure from Alvarado, foul trouble, not completely out of the question for him either. Landry Shamet could come in and go completely scorched earth Inferno. We've seen that how many times this season. And, that's an interesting one, but he's still $500 more at a different position. So like everything about Alvarado looks ridiculous.
I'll be honest, like Shamet being 5% owned is incredibly interesting for what we've got here. That's a conversation piece that we'll get to eventually.
For sure.
Your boy Julian Reese here too. So
my boy, yeah, there we go.
We hit the Alvarado piece, fine. We'll hit Minnesota as a pack in a second. A pack of wolves, maybe.
Oh my god.
Bang.
Just
so good, dude. So good. Anywho.
Why?
The other thing that I think that is very easy to talk about, $5,900 Khalil Ware, no Bam Adebayo, 48% owned, 50% optimal, 46% boom. Should be great, right? I mean, like, we know what the downside can be here. He picks up 2 fouls in 90 seconds and all of a sudden he loses an entire rotation. That's very on the table, but from an opportunity standpoint, it is all here for him.
Yeah, it's all here for him, and he's just another guy that, playing single entry today. I will find other places to go get different, and I'll play Alvarado and Ware. I'll make it a 6v6. Like, I'm pretty okay just kind of making them the building blocks of everything I do. Now we've got Julius Randle, Naz Reid. I do think, like, for me, the issue isn't like Randle. It's just that I do have other options. And at 7,700, there's a path for failure. Khalil Ware, sub 6K, and Jose Alvarado, 3,200. The path to failure is foul trouble or injury. Like, there's not anything else there because of what you get from Khalil Ware in these kind of spots. Like, you take Ware off, or you take Bam Adebayo off the floor. It doesn't go crazy in terms of rates, but just think about the minutes increase that you get for a Khalil Ware here in this spot. And, you go to what?
I was agreeing.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah. It's just, you look at Khalil Ware, the usage goes up, 1.5%, I suppose, in just over 1,000 minutes without Bam on the floor this season. Rebounds go up like 0.3 per 36. It's identical assist rate, which is basically 0 because he's never passed a ball in his life. But the minutes and opportunity are just up. And you can't ask for more than Khalil Ware playing on a floor without Bam Adebayo for like 28 minutes. Like, he just looks ridiculous.
Yeah, on the season, he's played 241 minutes in games where Bam just has not played. This isn't off. This is just like Bam wasn't going to be there to begin with. And like, optically, it's not great. He sees the ball a little bit less, scores a little bit less, but he also plays significantly more for just a point. Like, he's basically neutral on a per minute basis. 1.24 on the season, 1.19 in this scenario. All you're doing is just scooping up extra playing time at 1.2 fantasy points per minute. And that's massive when you're already priced to be the backup. That's all I need to hear. It would be great if you saw these numbers explode and he became like a 22% usage guy and it was completely different. But even still, the extra playing time, I love it. I'm at least a little nervous for this matchup just because there's something about Charlotte. I have this feeling he's going to get those fouls instantly. But he looks like a fantastic play.
That's where I disagree. Like, I feel exponentially better that it's Musa Diabate on the other side. Like, it's not some scoring big. It's not somebody looking for their own shots. And like, I feel so much better. Like, Ware's basically just going to be rim protection for everybody else driving to the bucket. But it's a team in Charlotte that shoots a lot of threes. Yeah, it'll be some long rebounds, but like overall, my main thing is you look at also Miami's played really well without Bam and Wiggins on the floor this season. They're a plus 7.8 net rating in 1,462 minutes. Like, there's been a lot of continuity with this second unit, with Khalil Ware, with Jaime Jaquez, who I think has surprised both of us with how good he's been this season, like taking a definite step up. He still can't shoot worth a shit, but like he's overall just gotten to be a better real life basketball player. And, you know, Charlotte, one of those teams that no matter how you slice it, they're a really good offensive team. They are not a very good, or they're a really good offensive team. They're not a very good defensive team. And, you know, you look at rim protection in general, they're near the bottom of the NBA. They're not a good defensive squad. And Diabate's out there because it's worked out cohesively with him as opposed to Kalkbrenner for the defensive purposes. But like knowing that Ware's going to basically be somebody who could meet people at the 10 and maybe steal a couple of blocks that way, and it won't be the guy he's primarily defending more than likely, just based on the usage from Diabate, I feel pretty confident in Ware.
I've talked myself into him, but I see what the downside is.
Yeah.
He needs to win the rebound. He needs to win the rebounding battle. So we are both wrong in our assumptions, like in a pretty extreme way. 90th percentile as a big this season in foul rate, just 2.6%. Even last season, 67th percentile, 3.2% as a rookie. This man does not foul at all.
Wild. Well, I'm saying that, like, you know, there's a chance where you play him a little bit more, you know, to who he is. But yeah, no, that's a fantastic prior that I've had on Khalil Ware. Maybe he's just had chalk games where he's gotten in foul trouble on certain occasions where it's just like, shit, dude, why are you doing this to me? But
and then to add on to that, Charlotte on the season, 22nd in free throw rate on offense. So not a team that's drawing tons and tons and tons of fouls. And then even more importantly, Charlotte 23rd in rim attempts on offense. So they're not even really getting to the rack as much.
But Charlotte's had one of the best strength of schedules in the entire NBA when it comes to opposition defense. Go by defensive strength of schedule there. You just had it up, so I just wanted to see it. Go to ratings. Just go to ratings. Go to defensive strength of schedule. Now flip it upside down. Should be 29th. I mean, we're talking a Charlotte team that's ran really, really good in strength of schedule on who they've faced. And like, we don't talk ball as much because obviously we're worried about the salary, the fantasy point per minute rate, and ownership. Like, we're really worried about those things. But now knowing that Ware is kind of a lower foul guy in general, that there isn't like crazy downside there, especially, and knowing that Diabate is going to be the primary guy over there, I feel pretty confident in Ware being good chalk.
What's his rebound prop today?
11.5 everywhere.
That's a big number in this matchup.
Yeah, I probably would be leaning towards the under, but it's still got cushion for a double-double, and it's still got cushion for 15 and 8, which at 5,900, if he adds a couple blocks, accidentally knocks down a 3 or 2, you know, life is probably pretty good still. So there's a lot of ways that it's all right, but yeah, there's no question that Charlotte, they've basically taken after what Boston does. They shoot a lot of threes and they play really, really slow in the half court. Like they do a lot of things.
They're the number one rebounding team by a mile.
Yeah, Charlotte. I'm just saying that they're very good at what they do, and they've kind of made a template of it with the switch to Diabate earlier in the season, where, you know, that's the best starting 5 in the NBA by net rating. Like, it just, you look at the lineups, they are better than a majority of what OKC rolls out on a day in, day out basis, which is just insane. The problem is that you can't play them like 40 minutes a game. So you have to bring in Kobe White and you have to bring in Grant Williams. You have to bring in other pieces, but that starting 5 has still been ridiculous.
You ready to get to your boys?
No. Yeah, my boys now. Once again, my boys, my Timberwolves. Here we go.
Let's hit these super chats first, and then we'll get to Minnesota here. First one up is from Olan Johnson. How do I ensure a player will be in all of my sims? I mean, like, there's the simple answer, which is just pick lineups that only have the guy that you're looking for. Like, I know that sounds. You can search the. Hold on. This is going to be easier. You can search the lineups for the guy you're looking for and filter to only have those, and then everything you favorite after that will contain that guy. I mean, it's in the filters. If you filter for lineups and you want 100% of Devin Booker, player equals Booker, or player contains Booker, and you will get Booker in every potential filterable lineup. Do you got anything there for me that I'm missing?
No. Basically, yeah, the favoriting of it. I mean, what you're trying to do is replicate the player pool that is going to be what you get. So you don't want to like play 100% of the dude in the pool, or it's not going to really give you a good idea of which lineups look great with which lineups. But yeah, I guess the main thing is just favorite him. And if you want, just boost the guy that you want to the moon, like after the fact. Like you could just give him 500% boost. Bet you get him in every lineup.
That will also work. Yeah, either filter them for just the guy you're looking for, or boost that dude 1,000,000% so that there's no choice but to filter those lineups to the top.
Yep.
Steven Leibowitz, 36-month member message. I hate it, but is there a whiz value as a pivot?
Oh, God.
Your boy Julian Reese tonight?
Just my boy. We got to stop. I mean, my boy is not my boy. That's not my boy.
That was your boy yesterday.
Yeah, my boy yesterday. That's him. I was underweight when it was all said and done. Just want to point that out there. 30%. That was a big. You got to a big number quick in some of the small end, like the small field stuff that I played. Like,
yeah,
it was 40% owned and shit. I was like, my God, you guys really like Julian Reese. That was nuts.
It's hard to like anything. I mean, do you like him at all today? We don't hate him. We just updated projections a minute ago, just FYI. Ownership to come.
I mean, we're going to get that starting lineup and we'll have a better idea if we actually like him or not.
I mean, we got him at 6.4x value right now.
Jesus Christ.
That's a big number for the slate, but not necessarily huge we'll see what it is from an ownership perspective.
If they get completely ran out of the gym like we expect, probably not the worst situation for him to be walking into, but I'm going to need a lot of minutes of Julian Reese if that's going to be a thing. That's for damn sure. I do think there is one interesting play from Washington. Like, how much does Bub Carrington play? You have no Trae Young out there. I can't imagine Jaden Hardy gets a crazy amount of minutes, but Bub Carrington is just a decent enough fantasy performer guy at like 0.9%. I wouldn't be shocked if I got to a little bit of Bub Carrington when it was all said and done.
He is 12% owned right now. That is third most on the Wiz, behind the 17% owned Julian Reese and the 20% owned Will Riley, who is not your boy lately.
No, Will Riley's really hated me. He chose to just quit putting up fantasy points when he gets to play garbage amount of minutes and do garbage things. Played 39 minutes yesterday. 34 fantasy points wasn't good enough yesterday for anything, which is just, it was one of those insane slates that you kind of needed the nuts everywhere. But yeah, the whiz value, the word isn't like pivot. It's more of just like, if they fit in, if I get left with like 5,800, if I get left with 5,100, if I get left with 3,200 for Julian Reese, like those are the times where they just kind of like show up, but I'm not moving off of anything to get to one of these idiots.
There we go. And then finally, Langston Cole, top 3 must play single entry. Happy Patty Day. Jose Alvarado, 100% to me is first.
Yep.
I
like Ware maybe a little
have
bit
a hard time not saying Khalil Ware is the second.
Yep. And then I think it's Io because of position.
I'm going to just say third is something from Minnesota.
There you go.
Because Julius Randle is your second best option of the day. Io DeSunu is like fourth in optimal rate. Naz Reid's like 10th. DiVincenzo's like 12th. Jaden McDaniels is like 18th. Like, they're all great in some way. So something from Minnesota, Alvarado, and Ware. Let's do Minnesota right now. No Anthony Edwards, and we just have that information all day. And that is creating 50% ownership to Julius Randle, 50% ownership to Io DeSunu, 20 apiece for DiVincenzo and Reed, 15 apiece for McDaniels and Gobert, and precious little to everything else, which I would have assumed we could have got a little bit more of Bones Highland. Just 19 minutes in our projections, 2% owned, probably a little bit of upside somewhere on the bench. Don't know which way to go, but anything you love or don't love at the top?
Yeah, it's hard not to like Randall, but man, is that ownership getting to a place. And when you're the most expensive guy, it's something we've brought up a lot. Like, you need to perform. You need to find a way to win. And they've been playing pretty awful basketball, but don't forget, this was just a really long road trip for Minnesota. They played the Lakers and Clippers. They did the LA back-to-back. They did Golden State. They found a way to actually play some good basketball. And then OKC. Phoenix isn't a cakewalk by any means here at home, and obviously now playing without Ant, but like, Julius Randle's still 7,700. We've got him 58% optimal. It's kind of like the Giddy thing yesterday where there aren't a lot of ways. Like, Randle still does enough on the floor, like on the box score. We don't need like some nuclear scoring game. Plus, his, props have gone up to like 23.5 points, 24.5 points everywhere for a guy who averages like 21 on the season. Like, we're seeing a usage bump. We're going to see an opportunity bump for him across the board without Ant out there. But these other guys benefit more, and they're cheaper, and they're better positions. Like, Io and DiVincenzo look so good to me. Io specifically, shooting guard, small forward. I don't think they're going to go to Bones Highland. There's a part of me that's a little bit worried. You should be by your computer is what I'll say. I'm not 100% convinced that they go to Io DeSunu. Like, Bones Highland has gotten a lot of these spot starts, and sure, Io wasn't there for all of them, but if you feel comfortable with the Io role, what I do feel comfortable about is I want to have like two of these guys in just about every single lineup that I'm playing, especially in single entry. And McDaniels is going to be like unowned. And McDaniels does have like this ability to kind of take over offensively out of the middle of nowhere without Ant on a floor. We've seen that a number of times. And in that Portland game, in the fresh in my mind, just as a Minnesota fan, where I could not believe I was watching Jaden McDaniels take over against Tamani Kamara, but that's exactly what took place. And Naz just seems like if you're not going to play Randall and you're hoping for failure there and you're pretty chalky elsewhere with Alvarado Ware, I do think Naz is like an interesting ad there, but is he going to benefit the same way minutes-wise as an Io, as a DiVincenzo? Absolutely not. And then I'm just throwing it out there. Bones Highland might end up being like the best play on the slate relative to ownership come lock if he gets the start.
I'd be very surprised if they start him in this matchup. But I think they could have started him in different matchups. I think it's just pretty cleanly going to be you start Io for Jalen Green, and you have Jaden McDaniels with Booker.
Interesting. I actually, matchup wise, that does make some sense. I'm just pointing out that Io hasn't started for Minnesota yet, and so making him the presumptive starter without any news of such is still kind of a leap of faith. And I'm not saying that Bones Highland is going to be the guy or anything, but we do have him in for 18 minutes right now. If he gets the start, you're going to feel exponentially better about it. It's going to be the last game in that last little window. We've got an hour sprint slate, as I call them. It's like, we're just going to be swapping around here after lock. You're going to have Alvarado, who's going to look incredible. You're going to have a little bit of early information, but nothing that really matters all that much. I just think you guys should be peeled to the live after lock show, because a Bones Highland spot start would not shock me, considering he's been with the team forever. What?
Miles Turner out. Ousmane Dieng in.
God damn it.
Giannis out for a week.
I don't. Jericho Sims, like this is going to be a thing. Jericho Sims,
Milwaukee.
Pete Nance gets
Let's
into
finish
the
up here on Minnesota. There's one name that we're probably not going to say much. Any interest in Rudy Gobert here?
No, none.
Okay.
Like zero.
Okay.
I've not played Rudy Gobert once all year, it feels like. And trying to remember the last time that I didn't feel good about that. I'll let 15% of the field have fun with Rudy Gobert today. I have basically played him 0 times all year.
Heartbreaking.
Not
okay.
really.
Milwaukee is about to hemorrhage 24 minutes of Miles Turner.
Yep. Jericho Sims.
Pete Nance. And I don't mean that necessarily from I think Pete Nance is going to be good. But I do think that Pete Nance is about to get a decent chunk of those 24 minutes.
I agree. I definitely agree.
And if anything we give to Jericho Sims is meaningless.
Because he's a meaningless
We can give him 6 minutes right now, and he's not going to move in any appreciable way.
I mean, the guy that I always want to do in these situations, like the guy I always want to play more of, phrasing, Eric, Bobby Portis. And it's just been so frustrating. Like the Bobby Portis experience has not been a good one this year, trying to like pinpoint exactly what the shit this idiot Doc Rivers is doing, or Glenn Rivers, as Greg loves to affectionately or non-affectionately call him. We're coming off of a 54 spot. We're coming off of much more secure minutes and a much better situation for him. If you give me like 27, 28 minutes of Bobby Portis, that's definitely my favorite guy on this specific slate. Like, again, not a pivot off of Nas, not a pivot off of Randall at the position, but like kind of in addition to. I think probably going to end up being Bobby Portis. Where did Kevin Porter Jr. end up getting to as well on our update? Because like this was always
he's 12% owned right now.
More,
but this is with Turner in.
Yeah.
So he'll incrementally go up. I mean, I think Ousmane Dieng is probably about to even get a bigger bump than 29 minutes. Okay. Ryan Rollins will try to play today.
Oh shit. What are we doing?
Fuck, is it Cam Thomas today?
Don't say that, please. I was just thinking about him, and he's sub 4K, and we know the boy likes to come in and chuck basketballs in the sky. Like, this is going to be disturbing. Also, you know how Doc Rivers, he should have been fired immediately when he compared Cam Thomas to Lou Williams. Like, what an embarrassing comp. What an embarrassing 1-for-1 that you could possibly throw out there. If your comp machine comes up with Lou Williams and his efficiency for however many years for Cam Thomas and his inefficiency for however many years, I'm going to lose my mind.
I'll look. I don't know how much data I have. I'll take a peek. What was I just doing? Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Yeah.
Okay. So I know Cam Thomas has been out of favor. Got 16 minutes on the 12th. Got 19 here. I mean, can he... What's an 18-minute projection to Cam Thomas look like? Julian Reese listed inactive per Rich.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Kind of makes... it's not important.
I mean, first off, why is Sarr not playing? Second off, it makes Heel the guy that's like identical to it. It's going to be like 28 minutes. We got 32 minutes of Heel yesterday, which, I mean... 32 minutes, like what does that even turn into? Does Justin Champagnie have to get back into the rotation? He didn't even play yesterday.
Okay, here it comes Indiana. Zubac's available. Siakam out. Nembhard out. God, this is going to be like a fucking machine gun. Aaron Nesmith available.
What are we doing?
Just list them all at the same time.
I hate them so much.
I'm going to give it 90 seconds and let them all hit. Obi Toppin in.
I'm going to drink coffee.
McConnell in. Stupid team. Shepherd in. Quentin Jackson in. I mean, they're getting dangerously close to just being like none of it matters. Micah Potter out.
He's been actually hurt.
That's what, 2 outs so far.
Yeah, that's not a lot of outs.
Yeah, they're gonna be meaningless. They're not gonna matter.
It's kind of nice that I'm just glad you didn't say Nembhard Neesmith out. That would have been the problem. Like if we got those 2 out, then it becomes Kobe.
Nembhard's out.
And
Nembhard is out.
I thought you just said available to play.
No, Neesmith in, Nembhard out.
Then they got to be in.
I'm going to do this one more time. Siakam out, Zubats in, Nembhard out, Neesmith, Toppin, McConnell, Shepard, Jackson, all in. Potter out. Nembhard and Potter out, Siakam out. Those are the important names. Well, we could apply weight however we want.
The important guy to me is figuring out what to do with Cam Jones. Like Cam Jones is 3,800 and an actual good fantasy performer. Like Cam Jones is the only guy that I think I was caring about whatsoever from Indy. I can't imagine I won't like him if he becomes a presumed starter over Nembhard.
Yeah, probably. They just have so many guys. We'll have to see in the update.
Okay. Quentin Jackson.
Like in our projections, we have 27 minutes of Nembhard. We have 5 minutes of Micah Potter, so that's 32. Who was the other one that was out? Oh, and then we already had Siakam out. So like we're only creating 32 minutes here. They got too many other dudes, I think.
But the Cam Jones, yeah. I mean, Quentin Jackson or Cam Jones, one of the two probably ends up somewhat interesting. We had Cam Jones as a terrible fantasy performer. What? I thought Cam Jones was like a legitimately good fantasy performer. Is Quentin Jackson the more interesting one of the two? I'm very confused right now. I don't know what's up.
I mean, I don't tend to look too much into like the low minute guys' fantasy point per minute rates.
Yeah,
so we'll know a little bit more when it refreshes.
Drastically. I think Bronny's like a 1.5 G League guy, so that's fun.
Yeah, the 8-minute guys are not going to be prioritized. Lineup for the Heat: Mitchell, Powell, Hero, Larson, Ware. Wizards lineup in. Please refresh on my screen faster.
Heal
You're not
starting.
doing that.
Good Lord. All right.
Wizards is Carrington, Johnson, Champagny, Riley, Gill.
Yeah, the Champagny one doesn't shock me at all. Didn't play yesterday. Felt like it was just one of those put everybody on the back burners. Oh, man. I mean, it's hard to go beyond like 23 minutes for a Justin Champagny under any circumstances, but whatever.
I mean, if 2 more minutes for him, and he's probably like a 20% owned guy.
They're very important minutes. Like everything with Justin Champagny is going to look more interesting. Also, there was the situation that we had like this for a back-to-back where I thought about Justin Champagny. We brought him up for a quick second, didn't end up playing in any. And there were some people who got really burned by that. He was like a DNP CD. It is so relieving to see him starting if you're going to try to take that shot. Yeah. 8% is going to go up.
Yeah, for sure. Like we're going to give him at least an extra minute or 2 or something, you would think. And at that point, he's probably going to be like 20% owned.
If you put him at 24 minutes, he's going to be very popular because he is a very good fantasy producer.
Let's see. If you give him 23 minutes at the rate we have right now, that's 5.57x, which is, I mean, 6th, 7th highest on the slate, something like that.
Yeah, it's a horrendous position for him to be at. Like if he had small forward,
there's no other value at that position anywhere at the top of this list. It's empty.
I mean, it's just good pieces like Randall. It's pieces like Nas. It's just high upside smashes at power forward. So there's that. What?
Shout out to Malakar with the member message. 60 months, 5 years. Wow. I wonder how much money I lost.
Are you worried about the money? How about the time listening to us talk? Think about that.
Oh God. Yeah, he's got to be up there in terms of people that have heard us talk the most.
I went to a bar and there was this couple from Georgia that was in town visiting, and this guy heard my voice and went over, and then he's like, "Oh, I saw Duke," and then he's like, "I knew that was you," and he came over and sat at our table and chatted for a while, and then I introduced myself to his wife. She goes, "Yeah, you're the voice that I hear every night before I fucking go to bed. I hate you." I was like, "All right, well, I'm gonna go. Sounds great." She goes, "I can't stand you." I was like, "All right, well, you want a drink?" "No, I don't want a drink." "All right, bye." Great.
Oh,
thought it was
ankle
fun.
break. Top plays for single entry outside of Top Chalk on DraftKings. I mean, how far down do we go?
Yeah, give me the threshold here, because I mean every slate's different because it depends on like how good the value is, and the value right now looks pretty ridiculous. Alvarado looks pretty good, Ware looks pretty good, and now you're like saying down the board. I mean, I've got some guys that I think are fascinating for this slate. I mean, now Justin Champagne's going to go way up. Usman Jang, somebody that we brought up, I have no idea where his ownership's going to get. The one that I think you and I are both going to like that's probably not going to go anywhere in ownership is like a Landry Shamet. I think for contrarian spend-ups, Evan Mobley's still playing basketball without fucking Jared Allen. He's 8,800. I very highly doubt he gets nuked anywhere. And now there's no Giannis and Miles Turner. He gets to go up against Bobby Portis and Jericho Sims. Yahtzee feels good to be Evan Mobley in this matchup, and nobody's going to be playing him. Like, there's low-owned options, but it's always this push and pull of like, when we get the update where they're going to land, how good is the value? How good are, the Washington guys going to look that are now starting that we weren't expecting, that nobody was expecting? How good is Kevin Porter Jr. going to look, who I obviously liked as a contrarian option on that same Milwaukee team? Like, we just have so many things that are kind of in flux, and to say that like, oh, it's got to be a low-owned guy, got to find a low-owned guy. It's like, well, you kind of want to mix them around different lineups. If you're playing one lineup, sure, we can identify. I threw out like 3-4 guys for you that I think are interesting.
As I look at it, like if I try to get myself out of that top optimal section, I find Towns really interesting today. It just so happens that Ware looks quite a bit better. As I work my way down this optimal list.
We haven't gotten the Mitchell Robinson news, have we? He's in. Oh, he's in. Never mind.
Yeah. You were making me check.
Had to double check.
Similarly, I find Rudy Gobert sneaky. Maybe just center's my problem today. I mean, a sub 10% owned Cade as a pay up to be contrarian option against the Wizards feels like an interesting guy in single entry.
For sure. 100% agree. I mean, SGA is not even that popular, and there's that.
Yeah, SGA is 17, Cade's half that. Either way, really.
Yep.
All right, hit that like button, folks, if you haven't done it yet. 20 minutes to go until we get to lock. And then you get another hour. It doesn't end at that point in time. Greg Ehrenberg, who came in here 20 minutes early last time out. I was hoping that I just said his name and he appeared like he was Joe Hendry. Some people will get that, most won't. But he will be here from 7 until whenever Greg wants to be done doing late swaps, using the prop tool, or maybe, just maybe, using OddShopper, which you guys can get for 50% off right now. LBL50 is the promo code. The OddShopper package is half price at the moment, guys. And that's a hell of a deal. There's a lot of good stuff here if you're looking to get into the sports betting and pick'em realm. Now, we can talk through it here. Maybe you just want portfolio EV, a giant list of plus EV bets based on our best guess at the market. And on the screen, you can see that a lot of them are at Bet365 in this case. They will be there quite a bit They have exceptionally bad lines. So grab what you can when you can. Maybe you don't have access to that sports book. Maybe you're just on pick'em sites. You can filter this completely, however you need it to be for your user experience. And when a bet qualifies, you can get alerted on your phone immediately and place that bet. It's as simple as it gets. Not to mention, Greg will be showing this one off tonight, live in-game. I have it on right now. There are some games going on. You could hit these positive EV bets live in-game at these sites and just, it's going to update quick. You got to be quick. Like, you want to be paying attention. You want to be ready to go to place these bets, but they are here for you. Not to mention, if you just want to be on our odds screen, it's going to update faster than any odds screen you're going to find. And if you're looking to deep dive into player props, every alt line on the planet is listed here for Khalil Ware's points, and you'll be able to cross-reference that across every book that actually has that line available for you. Do you like ARBs? I can help you guys out on that one too. You want to grab some ARBs before games start? Right here at your fingertips. Lock in potentially some profits without any risk whatsoever in certain situations. Or do the same thing we just talked about on the portfolio EV side, but for ARBs live in the game. All the calculations are here. The buttons are here for you to immediately place these bets. Not to mention parlay builders, pick'em builders, and immediate access to Tails, which is a totally free product one way or the other. You can follow everybody, get anything they post for free there if you're looking for bets, pick'em slips across the board. And one last time, it's 50% off with the promo code LBL50. The link is at the top of the description. Click that bad boy. Come on in. Hop into our premium Discord. I know Eric will be there. He'll say hi for sure. You live in our OddShopper side Discord, don't you?
Yeah, say his name.
And he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in the data hub being updated. Nope, I was wrong. I was hoping I was just able to
stop. No, I
thought I spoke it into existence. I didn't. So let's hit the sea of super chats that just came in, two of which the exact same. Must plays on FanDuel, top FanDuel plays. We will hit those together. This is going to be a little behind, but that's okay. We know where we're going here. Point guard spot on FanDuel. You're absolutely looking at Io DeSunmu no matter what moves around. You're absolutely looking at Jose Alvarado at the point guard spot. And then your other big priority is going to be LaMelo Ball, especially for Alvarado and Ball, only point guard eligible. They are your best two options there. Do you have any other point guard thoughts before we get to shooting guard?
Not on FanDuel, no. It's I'm playing one lineup there. It's got Alvarado and it's got Kevin Porter Jr. right
now. Feel free to pay up for SGA. He does look good, but there are alternative pay up options. At shooting guard, it's DeSunmu once again. We also see Dante DiVincenzo at both guard spots. We see Devin Booker at both guard spots. They are the guys that are kind of climbing to the top. Do you have any alternative shooting guards?
No, Kevin Porter Jr., my one contrarian thing, point guard, shooting guard. Otherwise, it's just Alvarado, DiVincenzo, and Io.
There is one main small forward on FanDuel. That is actually Josh Hart, 40% owned, 40% optimal. Everybody else kind of takes a pretty massive step behind him, whether that's Con Knipple, whether that's Brandon Miller, Norm Powell, Jaden McDaniels. It's kind of blurry after Josh Hart. Josh Hart breaks away there.
Everything's so blurry. Everyone's so vague. Everything is empty and everything's so messed up. Occupied without you. Cannot live at all. All the worlds around you. They stumble and they fall. Jaime Jaquez, contrarian piece.
At the power forward spot, Julius Randle is the clear number one option at 7,400, 50+% owned and optimal. You can take Khalil Ware here as well as Josh Hart. Both guys are 40% owned. After that, I am a big fan of Karl Anthony Towns today with no Brunson around.
Rollins and Naz Reid as well on FanDuel.
Rollins in. Good. He's going to play like 4 minutes, by the way.
Awesome.
And then at center, this is where you're probably using Khalil Ware. If not, Jalen Duren and Rudy Gobert are probably your next best actual center options.
Yep, and agree with both. Not the Gobert one, obviously. But this dude did I did just recite Puddle of Mud. You best believe I did.
There we go. You gotta love it. Jeff Williams, Towns or Duren in the 222 on DraftKings.
What else is in the lineup? I mean, straight up, give me Towns because Towns, but I mean, it's $700 difference, bro. Like, you're not leaving 700 on the table in the 2-2-2.
Yeah, it's tough to know where that 700 goes because Duren looks great against the Wizards. I mean, they're basically projected identical for us, almost the same exact boom and optimal scores. It sort of just depends on where $700 goes.
Correct.
Ghostface Kick, a best value play at each position on DraftKings, which I thought was just what this show was from start to finish. The point guard answer is going to be Jose Alvarado.
For sure.
The shooting guard answer is Io DeSunmu.
Correct.
Or Io DeSunmu at small forward, depending on which way you want to go there. Bob Carrington could be the answer at shooting guard if you want Jordan Clarkson to be the answer at small forward. But either way, it's DeSunmu. Power forward is now Justin Champagnie, 30% owned, 25% optimal. And then at center, that is going to be Anthony Gill, which is a problem in its own right.
Jesus.
And then Sam Van Dam. Josh, am I a Fanhausen? I am indeed, although I will probably not see nearly as much of his WWE shtick as I saw of his AEW shtick.
I will say this, just got done answering Duren or Towns, and now I'm playing Duren in single entry. So life comes at you fast.
Friend of the program, Morgan Wiper, and noted DFS millionaire, says, talk to me about Bub Carrington, gentlemen. Love you. He looks really good. I mean, 20% owned, should have carte blanche. Not the best matchup in the world. But he's free to do whatever he wants out there, at least.
Yeah, it's like I don't think we're going to get less than like 26, 27 minutes, and that's a good feeling. Like, it would take a lot, I think, even with this Washington team that obviously can roll out a bunch of idiots and positionless basketball, not caring about anything, just to go out and lose. But I feel pretty confident that with a 9-man rotation, Jaden Hardy, the chances that they share the floor is pretty good at some point. And it's probably not just like a 24, 24, 26, 22 kind of thing. So I think Bub Carrington probably appropriately owned at this point in time, but I liked him a lot more when he was sub 15%. Those were good times.
Yeah. Truffle says, not DFS, but favorite king of the court pick tonight.
Russell Westbrook.
Jalen Duren is a really great pick, I think.
I mean, Sacramento is doing the dumbest things you've ever seen in the history of basketball. DeMar DeRozan's playing 40 minutes, 41 minutes. Russell Westbrook played 37 minutes and didn't eviscerate last time. They did give Killian Hayes a contract, so he probably cuts in a little bit. But if you get Malik Monk out, something from Sacramento could break your way.
Jalen Duren, KPJ, both feel like, lower, much bigger bonus bet type dudes.
Yeah, great KPJ shout out too. I like KPJ a lot.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling down the PRA list just to see if anybody.
I mean, those Sacramento guys are way down, but we've got them at 30 minutes right now. They could. I mean, I have no clue what's going on with these dudes. It's just insane.
Right. Completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't have a. There we go. KPJ or Booker FanDuel single entry. Booker $200 more expensive, slightly more. We have ultra positive leverage on KPJ on the FanDuel side. It's got to be KPJ.
Yep, I've been playing.
It's an infinitely better play on FanDuel in our data.
Yep, like him.
Isaac Dietz, last man in, DK utility, Carrington, Justin Champagnie, Jeng.
Playing every position up here on that 47 starts.
I think that's Champagnie.
I know he's got the negative leverage as opposed to Bub, but I think it is Champagnie still too. But hang on, 1v1.
I can say this much: it's not Ousmane Dieng.
It is not Ousmane Dieng. It's definitely going to be Bub for me, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I prefer the position for Champagne more than anything else. I'm mostly indifferent other than that.
Yeah, but he said utility, so I'm just going to go to the Bub side. If you're looking for the last guy in, I'm going Bub.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, technically, Bub Carrington projected for more fantasy points.
Yes.
All right, we got to do it. 9 minutes to go. Let's get it in quick. Short version. Nuke the night time. Here we go. It has not been good for me lately. It was not Jason Tatum, unfortunately. That would have been a Jaylen Brown call last time out. Needed that one. But maybe today is my day. But let's first find out, is it Eric's day? Who is your Nuke of the night?
It's a two-pronged Nuke of the night. I have two guys.
You got two prongs? Sick.
That'd be kind of wild, wouldn't it? Have an orgy with yourself.
Could you imagine having a second penis? Where would you want it? Like right next to the other one or in a different place?
I'd probably right next to the other one. Just make it a four-balled, two-pecker thing. Like, yeah.
Oh, you're picturing double sets of balls, too. I'm only picturing two dicks.
Okay.
I didn't picture two sets of balls there. I guess I'd picture the balls if I put the dick somewhere else.
Got it. I don't want like a dick on my back. I think that would kind of like, that'd fuck up the vibes. I don't think that would be fun to
well, you'd constantly be like laying on it and shit.
That's what I'm saying. It wouldn't feel good. It'd be bad. Anyway, my two-prong Nuke the night is the combination of Bobby Portis and Kevin Porter Jr. I really think that game environment is interesting with Cleveland on the other side. I'm playing Mobley in single entry as well now. I did maneuver some things around, so I'm not going to play Duren, but if that game stays close, Kevin Porter Jr. playing on the floor and Bobby Portis, where the minutes have been more secure, we're at sub 26 minutes right now on Bobby Portis. It's a position that has a lot of chalk and a lot of places that you can go. We talked about Champagne now, who's gotten a little bit better. Now that he's officially starting and you feel okay about those minutes. It obviously has the Minnesota guys in Naz and the mega chalk Julius Randle, who is pretty decent chalk, but I'm going to probably find a way to get away from as we get closer to that game. But I really like the idea of Kevin Porter Jr. specifically going completely nuts, and Bobby Portis sitting sub 26 minutes in our projections. He's been playing closer to like 27, 28, and he's a really good fantasy producer. We have for years and years and years gone to Bobby Portis without Giannis on the floor. And it feels as though no matter what, we're not going to get that ownership steamed up because of what else exists there. So I like the idea of playing them both together, hoping that game stays a little bit more competitive. And they should stagger quite a bit to be able to find opportunities for both of them to go nuts and have the usage that we're looking for. Kevin Porter Jr. and Bobby Portis, Nuke of the Nights.
I just pulled it up on the screen, so I probably tipped it off a little bit. 9K Karl Anthony Towns has played 170 minutes, small sample, in games where Jalen Brunson just wasn't involved. Didn't play the game at all, not even just off. Wasn't there. Kind of like what's happening today. 1.53 fantasy points per minute in that time, up from the 1.33 he's had subsequently for the year. 30% usage rate in those games where Jalen Brunson is not around, up from 25.5, scoring up from 31 points per 100 possession to 39.7. Only thing that goes down are the assists. I can handle that when you're playing this particular Indiana Pacers team. I don't think they're going to be able to slow him down. He's going to get all these buckets. I love Towns here today. So that is my Nuke of the night. Shout out to Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't talked a lot about the Knicks, and I mean, Josh Hart is a pretty big part of this slate, 6,300, showing up a decent amount for me as well. Mikal Bridges, probably the one guy that I think is kind of difficult because of the position and because of what else, we're able to kind of maneuver around. But Cat, as far as just a straight up upside option, the usage 4% up without Jalen Brunson on the floor, just opportunities galore for him. Would have been especially sexy to see Mitchell Robinson ruled out as well, where those lineups where they randomly share the floor if they're struggling, where Mitchell Robinson could go in and dive for a couple of offensive rebounds and just smash that way. Like, it would have been nice to get him out as well, but it's Indy. Like, what are you looking for? I mean, we've got Cat in as a 1.5 guy today. That seems pretty decent.
Balmer says, hate Randall. Crazy to play Brandon Miller over him in single entry. No, not at all.
Not crazy. No.
No, yeah, like you got to make a move somewhere at the top in all that ownership.
Yeah.
It's not crazy. Like, assuming you still have most of the rest of it and some other exposure to Minnesota, you're like, yeah, you can. That's easy. And like Brandon Miller's not some random nobody today either. You know, a real dude in a pace up matchup, already 10% owned, 10% optimal, 20 something boom. Like, yeah, that's the kind of pivot that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. The one thing that's a bummer is you don't get to swap around for any unexpected news or anything that could potentially pop up. And so locking in a guy, if you're talking like a tiebreaker, I'm less likely to do it with a guy like a Brandon Miller, just because, you know, I want to have some of that swap ability, but there's no question at that specific position, he could put up a number that you just absolutely need if he gets down and dirty.
Let's see. Optimal lineup obviously has Randall 277.6, 296 ownership. To go to Miller, optimal around him, well, I guess keeps Julius Randle. So let me take Randall out of there so I can't get him. That kind of defeats the purpose of this exercise. There we go. Now I will not get Julius Randle, and I will only get Brandon Miller. Optimal around him, sans Randall.
Oh, we have KPJ.
You lose
now. My God.
You lose 6 fantasy points, but you also cut 42% of ownership. So, like, yeah, no, I don't hate that at all. Optimal around Brandon Miller, KPJ, Desunmu, Brandon Miller, Will Riley, Duran, Alvarado, Jalen Green, Cloware. Like, that's a really strong lineup.
Sure is.
And that's what you can use in the single lineup sim. You can sign up for these sims. Ooh, baby. Shout out to that Brandon Miller pivot. You can get these sims by clicking the link in the description and getting 15% off of those sims. Greg is going to sell you on OddShopper and 50% off in a little bit. And he'll probably sell you on the sims too, but I got to sell you on the sims when there's 140 sim ROI on the screen with that Brandon Miller shout. Balmer, I bet you like that. If he sucks tonight, it was Eric's idea.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, just blame me for everything. That's an easier way to live life.
It's the easiest way to live life.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. I just means that, well, I was going to say something about laying on a sword, but now we have like dicks on both sides of our body and we don't want to do that.
Speaking of laying on the sword, that lady that called you at the beginning of the show.
I just fucking hate you so much. It is unbelievable. It is unfathomable how fast I'm going to be getting off of this show in exactly 42 seconds.
It was incredible how fast I got off when she was on the sword.
I'm leaving now. Have a great show, everybody. Enjoy Greg live after lock.
I can't help it.
Have a great time. This is really lovely. Bye.
True beauty is tough, man. I could not control myself in any way.
I'm fulfilling my contract. 12 more seconds. That's all you needed anyway.
That's so many times in life. It's crazy.
I'm here to fire Eric if he leaves a second early. If Eric leaves a second early, he's out of here. We're looking at the clock right now.
Lock.
We got it.
All right. He made it. He made it. So one thing I did want to show you guys really quick. By the way, good luck with all your lineups and everything tonight, Josh. I'll be taking over from here. I wanted to really quickly bring this to your guys' attention before we started the basketball show today, or the NBA show. So the in-game bets right now. This is a really fun bet. So right now, at halftime of the Liberty Flames and George Mason Patriots game, there is a pretty good plus EV opportunity for the game to go to overtime. We have this as a 17.5% EV bet, and you can just kind of tell from a line shopping perspective, plus nearly 1,400 for the game to go to overtime on FanDuel, and every other book has a 10-1 or shorter. We're projecting the fair odds here at 12-1. So we're going to be having some, should be a lot of good in-game betting opportunities using the new in-game betting tool over on OddShopper that you guys get for yourself for 50% off with the promo code NBA or sorry, just LBL 50. So take advantage of that ahead of the NCAA tournament. And yeah, looks like the game just tipped off in the second half here. But I just wanted to make sure that I told you guys about that before we started, because it looked like a pretty fun bet that was on the board for the game. Other than that, guys, how are we doing? Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Yesterday's NBA slate ended up being a pretty good one for me. One thing that was definitely beneficial was making all the different swaps that we did over the course of the show yesterday. So getting to all the Pelicans guys, like making sure that we were getting Misi and Jeremiah Fears into lineups. They were both really good yesterday. We ended up getting big games out of Trey Murphy and Zion Williamson with DeJounte Murray out as well. So yesterday, a great slate. It ended up being for late swap. And we'll see what ends up happening for today. So as of right now, we don't have key players who are on the injury report for the main slate. We got some guys on the injury report, like Haywood Highsmith is questionable, Sam Merrill is questionable. I don't think those guys being out is going to matter in any kind of real way, but we never know which players could be unexpectedly ruled out post-lock. We saw that yesterday as well, where we had Javon Small, who's not even on the injury report for what was that? It was the 7:30 game, 7:30 Eastern time game yesterday, I think it was, for the Grizzlies game. Maybe it was the 8 p.m. game, whatever. I don't remember the time, but he wasn't even on the injury report. He ended up getting ruled out. That ended up opening up some extra value for us on Memphis as well yesterday. So we'll see what ends up happening with unexpected players ruled out. We'll see what ends up happening with starting lineups. So certainly some things we're going to want to keep an eye on, even if there aren't players who are on the injury report right now. What do we end up getting as the starting lineup for the Minnesota Timberwolves? I think we feel pretty good right now that it's going to be DiVincenzo, Dosunmu, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, and Rudy Gobert. So with that in mind, right now we've got Dosunmu projected for 40% ownership. We've got a ton of ownership going to Julius Randle. All this because Anthony Edwards is out. But there is no guarantee what Minnesota is going to do with their starting lineup. We see teams do odd things with their starting lineups at this point in the season. You've also got, for Milwaukee, you've got Kevin Porter Jr. back in the mix. You've got Giannis out. What does their starting backcourt end up looking like? I think there's a lot of different ways the starting lineups can end up going today, and we're going to be making sure to cover all of that over the course of the show. Of course, also talking about any kind of bets that we could find and reacting to whatever happens in games here. If you guys have any questions for me, hit me up over the course of the show. We'll definitely be looking out for it. And I see we got one right here from Mastermind Magruder right at the top of the show. He wants to know Mobley and Kevin Porter Jr. or Green and Towns. I'm almost positive that is Green and Towns for me. I've got Jalen Green right now is in 40% of my lineups. I've got over 20% exposure to Karl Anthony Towns, whereas Evan Mobley I have in sub 10% of lineups. Kevin Porter Jr. I've gotten right around 10% of lineups, and I think his playing time may be a little bit precarious for today. So to me, it's pretty easily the latter. I like going to Jalen Green and Karl Anthony Towns out of those two. I like Josh's shout out of Cat for his nuke of the night as well. I thought I was going to end up with a ton of exposure to Towns, and I am overweight to the field relative to our ownership projections, but I thought I was going to end up with more of them. I guess that, by the way, Grayson Allen just officially ruled out. No real surprises there. He was doubtful. But I guess with other guys available at the center position, like Khalil Ware only having center eligibility, you've got also like Rudy Gobert, I thought was a pretty viable option. Jalen Duren taking on Detroit. And then you've also got some, kind of comparably priced players at other positions like Julius Randle, like Devin Booker. I guess it just kind of limited the amount of lineup spots that I had for Karl Anthony Towns. So I like that I'm overweight to the field to him, but I kind of do wish that I ended up having a little bit more of Cat. Let's see what else we have for questions here. Nothing else in the super chats. We did just find out Haywood Highsmith available to play. All right, that wasn't going to really change anything of all that much significance anyway. Let's see what we end up having for Discord questions. We've got a couple of them here. Don't Be Soy says, could I answer the question above? Well, let's see what the question above is. He wants to know, is there a way to maintain exposure caps and ROI boost throughout the slate without manually doing it after every swap? So not as of right now, but definitely something that I could look into for you and potentially suggest as an option in the Sims, but there isn't a way to do it right now. Let's see what else we've got here. Einsteinium says he played Diabate over Ware. How dead is he? So my hope is that you're very dead. Because not because I want your lineups to suck, but because I played a lot of Khalil Ware. I have Khalil Ware in more than half my lineups, and I have Diabate in 5% of lineups. So it's not to say Diabate is unplayable, but I hope your lineups are dead for today, just because of my own rooting interests. All right, Bronx boy Rob says last guy in for mid-price. He has got for utility either OG Anunoby or Jarace Walker, or I'll leave money and take Josh Hart. So let's go to the data hub here really quick and look at some of the individual player projections. And by the way, it looks like we may have just gotten the starting lineup for the Indiana Pacers as well. Let's see. Do we have that Pacers starting lineup? When it's official, I'll announce in a second here. That's another lineup that could end up going about, numerous different ways, that Pacers starting lineup, because they've got a bunch of, who's out there. But anyway, let's answer these questions until we get the official Pacers starting lineup. Then we can react to that. Bronx boy Rob wanted to know for OG Anunoby or Jarace Walker. So for reference, we've got Anunoby projected for 33 fantasy points. We've got Jarace Walker projected for 29. So it's pretty easily going to be Anunoby over Walker. And then we've got Josh Hart projected for 33.38 fantasy points. What was Anunoby at? Yeah, 33.29. Anunoby and Josh Hart are very, very interchangeable. I'll lean towards Anunoby, but there's not really a significant difference between the two. But I'll answer Anunoby there. All right. Let's see if we had any other questions here. Nothing else at the moment as far as other questions are concerned. But let's see what there was for news here. Yeah, by the way, we do have confirmation now. Sam Merrill available to play. Jalen Tyson also available to play for today. Here's what we currently have as our projected starting lineup for the Indiana Pacers. We have... All right, here's what we got for our projected starting lineup heading into the slate. We're going with TJ McConnell, Kobe Brown, Aaron Nesmith, Jarace Walker, and Ivica Zubac. That is the starting five that we are currently projecting for the Indiana Pacers. And then, we'll see what could potentially end up changing there. It is the Pacers. We've got Andrew Nembhard out for today. Micah Potter's out. Pascal Siakam's out. They listed nearly the entire team as questionable today. If you guys looked at the injury report earlier in the day, it was Siakam doubtful. I'm kind of going off memory here, so if I miss a name or two, forgive me. But earlier in the day, it was Siakam was doubtful, so we had a pretty good inclination he wasn't going to play. Micah Potter and Andrew Nembhard were both out. They were listed as questionable. Then we also had, who are now in, Zubac, Nesmith, McConnell, Toppin, Quentin Jackson, Ben Shepherd, and Slauson were all listed as questionable earlier in the day. So the point being here is the Pacers starting lineup, what their minutes could be. It could be a number of different things. And I'm pretty interested to see what the official starting lineup ends up being there. Kevin wants to know, how many minutes do I think McConnell ends up playing? So we've got McConnell projected for 19 right now. Pretty wide range of outcomes there, especially because they've got more players available than they had last game. Couple things to keep an eye on. Does McConnell officially end up starting? That would make us feel a little bit better about his potential minutes upside. But there's also the possibility here that they just run a super deep rotation. Nobody plays over 30 minutes. And we see a bunch of guys play like 18, 28 minutes. But for right now, I'll say like around 20 for TJ McConnell as an expectation. I think that's like a pretty decent guess right there. Let's see what else we have. Aaron wants to know Reed or Portis for today. Let's see. Between these two guys, Reed and Portis, very close. I've got marginally more exposure to Naz Reed, but I think both of them look reasonable for today. Neither of them are core plays, but they're both guys to have in like 10 to 20% of lineups. All right, while we wait on some more news to come here, we should be getting the Pacers starting lineup in the next few minutes or so. So in the interim, let's build out a FanDuel SGP, assuming or whatever boosts there are available for FanDuel for today. We did win our FanDuel bet last night on the show. So last night we built out a DraftKings same game parlay, a FanDuel same game parlay, and then we did our late swaps as well. So amongst all of that, we ended up hitting on the FanDuel parlay, missed on the DraftKings parlay, but overall felt pretty good about everything. And then obviously late swap I thought went pretty well. So let's see. For FanDuel today, there is a 25% boost, and it's good for any bet. It doesn't even have to be a same game parlay. All right, so let's just build out, it could be even just an individual bet. Let's see what's available on FanDuel for today. And I'm going to move some of the projections here to weight them a little bit more towards the stochastic projection since we're post-lock. I'll go 80-20 here. Let's see what's projecting well. See what's projecting well with all of the recent news and whatnot being taken into account. But a lot that's projecting well for us for Cleveland towards the top here. We've got Max Strus for under 2.5 threes. We've got Donovan Mitchell for under 5.5 assists. How many minutes did Strus end up playing in his first game back with Cleveland the other day? Let's see. What do we get out of Strus? Strus ended, I know he played pretty well, but his actual minutes were 23. So we're potentially a little bit low on Strus's minutes because he played 23 in his first game, and he absolutely lit it up. 6 3-pointers made, ended up scoring 24 real-life points, 8 boards. I'm actually going to avoid this one. I think we might be a little bit too low on our minutes projection for Strus. By the way, starting lineup for the Pacers. As projected. McConnell, Nesmith, Brown, Walker, Zubats. All right, nothing too crazy for the Pacers. I dig it. All right. So we do have McConnell in the starting lineup. I think that makes McConnell a viable GPP option. There was a scenario here where it could have come off the bench. Certainly could have been a possibility, but not what ended up happening. So nothing crazy that we have to react to there. All right, Donovan Mitchell under 5.5 assists. I feel decently about that one. I feel better about that than the Strus under 3s. There's also going to be a little bit more of a vig applied to some of the same game parlays if we combine ones from the same game. So let's try to find at least two bets from different games here that are going to project well. So we've got Donovan Mitchell under 5.5 assists. Here is one that I could get behind. So if you guys watch my video that I posted to Twitter earlier in the day with best bets from every game, I took Royce O'Neal for under 2.5 assists because his assist rate just doesn't really benefit a ton from Grayson Allen being out. But what does benefit is his potential shot opportunities. So this is a 50-50 bet. We've got Royce O'Neal projected for 2.9 threes. The line is 2.5. Over, though, is plus 130. And if we're going to be getting a boost, nice to be able to get a little bit of a bigger number on it. So let's just take these two and put them into a same game parlay. We'll go Donovan Mitchell under 5.5 assists. And then we'll go with Royce O'Neal for over 2.5 threes. Let's see, what does that come out to with the boost? As far as our projections, we have this winning 32.72% of the time, which comes out to fair odds of plus 206. So let's see what it ends up being with the boost. And keep in mind, fair odds plus 206. We've got this projected to win right around 33% of the time. So we're going Donovan Mitchell under 5.5 assists, and then Royce O'Neal for over 2.5 threes. And that comes out to plus 455 with the boost. And I'll post this details right now as well. And then I'm going to go back and look at the projections and see what it is that's changed, if anything, for the Pacers starting lineup being confirmed. So let's go back over to the data hub now. And let's go to the Pacers. I see we just got a projections update. Okay. Yeah, projections and ownership are updated now. So here's what we got for the Pacers. Not really a ton that projects well outside of TJ McConnell. So we did up TJ McConnell's minutes. Now he's confirmed a starter. McConnell looks really good in our data now, which shouldn't be massively shocking. Look at this. TJ McConnell, $4,300, 23 minutes, 27.65 fantasy point projection. Yeah, we are going to want to do late swaps and get more of McConnell into our lineups. On the FanDuel side of things, what do we have for the Pacers over here? On the FanDuel side of things, we've got TJ McConnell. He's a little bit more expensive over on FanDuel, but that doesn't prohibit him from projecting really well. So if you look at what we have here, we've got TJ McConnell, $4,600, 28 fantasy points, 6.09 value. Is he, let's see, where does he rank amongst value on the slate now? TJ McConnell in our projections is tied with Jameer Watkins, and obviously Watkins' game is already locked. Second best value on the FanDuel slate. On the DraftKings slate now, we have TJ McConnell overall. Let's remove any of these filters. Jose Alvarado and Anthony Gill are the only two players on a points per dollar rate that are projecting better than TJ McConnell. Let's do some late swaps and see how much of McConnell we get to. Nick's starting lineup: Alvarado, Bridges, Hart, Anunoby, Towns. It was already kind of known that Alvarado was going to be the starter, but it's good to get it absolutely, confirmed to be the case there. Okay. And my bet is up on tails now. All right, let's do some late swaps. Late swaps. I think I combine the two words together there. All right, let's start working on it. And if you guys are Stochastic Sub and you have any questions for me, hit me up in the Discord. I'm on the lookout for any of your questions so we could answer them as we're doing our late swaps here. And I see we've got a couple of them. So let me start working on my late swaps, and then I will start answering some of those questions as well. I see we've got one in there from Mayor and another one from Bronx Boy Rob. So I'll be interested to see what those questions are about. Oh, no, the Bronx Boy Rob one. Okay. Yeah, so Bronx Boy Rob actually asked the same question that I already answered earlier. So, Rob, if you missed my answer, it is OG Anunoby, since you put the same question in from before. Mayor, favorite Minnesota player in Minimax, Gobert or McDaniels or Reed? Well, can it be somebody else? Or are you just saying of those? Because of those three players, it's a little bit different than who's my favorite overall Minnesota player. Because I like Ayo Dosunmu and I like Julius Randle more than Gobert, McDaniels, or Reed. As far as those individual ones, it's Gobert. But let me also see what I end up getting to after the late swap run that I do right here. But of those three, it's Gobert. If you literally mean who is my favorite player to roster from Minnesota today, that's going to be Julius Randle. He sees the biggest rate increase with Anthony Edwards off the court. He's going to be very popular, though. So it depends how you meant the question. I see people are excited about Diabate in the chat. All right. I wanted Ware to outscore him, but maybe that won't end up being the case. Nicholas Barrett on FanDuel, do I prefer McConnell or Ayo? Well, are we taking price into account here? Because look at the salaries of these guys, right? Ayo is $4,700. Actually, they're a little bit closer on FanDuel or on DraftKings. So never mind, I misspoke there. I do prefer McConnell to Dosunmu, though. I do prefer McConnell. All right, what is Diabate doing early? So I see people very excited about him in the chat. Yeah, Ware 2 points and no other stats. And yeah, Diabate 2 points, 4 boards, and assist, and 2 blocks in 5 minutes here. So he is blowing Ware out of the water right now. So Einsteinium, looks like as of right now, you are on the better side of that one. Let's see. Is my 5% of Diabate not enough? Oh, Diabate is only 2% owned. Okay. At least I feel good about that part. If I have 5% of Diabate, I'm more than double the field on him at least. But yeah, Diabate is looking really good early. Khalil Ware, less so. And Ware ended up coming in 52% owned. So you got Khalil Ware is 25x the ownership of Diabate. All right. A little early to call it a done deal there, but I think if you made that pivot and you played Ware instead of or you played Diabate instead of Ware, you're probably feeling good about that at least 5 minutes into the game. And kicking off my late swaps now. Yeah. By the way, it looks like we just upped the projection again on TJ McConnell. So I'm actually going to restart this. But yeah, look what we did with McConnell now. So you guys remember the projection we had on McConnell a couple minutes ago? We just did another projection update. 28.39 fantasy points is our DraftKings projection now on TJ McConnell. That is no joke. I want to have a lot of TJ McConnell. That's the number one goal for me in this late swap run right now, is to get to as much of TJ McConnell as possible. That is the current goal. Kind of like yesterday when we were doing the late swaps and we were trying to get to as much of Misi and Jeremiah Fears as possible. That's what TJ McConnell is right now. See if there's any other questions here. Glass Daddy wants to know, Io and Portis or Reed and McDaniels? That's Io and Portis for me. Io's one of the top plays on the slate. I do prefer McConnell to him, but Io's still a very strong option. Like, ideally, the answer is Io and McConnell in lineups. But if it's just one, McConnell. We've got Sal saying, I faded Diabate. Who am I boosting for the next game? Probably not going to be boost. So, I mean, I'm running late swaps to get to more of McConnell right now, but I don't think I'm going to be boosting him. I just assume I'm going to get to a lot of him. I don't think I'm going to have to do anything to make him show up in lineups. Einstein wants to know, am I getting to a lot of Kobe Brown? I don't know. I have to finish the late swap run here to know for sure, but I'm not sure. I don't think he's somebody I'll get to a lot of. I think he'll be in lineups, but I don't know that he'll be in a lot of lineups. Let's see. What has Diabate done lately now? And another super chat here. We've got from Anthony Maniac, or Anthony Maniasi. Is Hawkes a good play in single entry over Portis? What do we have as a projection for Jaime Hawkes? Well, also that game's already locked. So like, what do you, right? Like, Hawkes already started. We don't have Hawkes projected particularly well on this side. Once again, there's nothing you can do about it at this point in time. But like, yeah, Hawkes is a fine play over Portis. There's just, he's already locked. He's already locked at this point. All right, so I grabbed the new projections, and now I've got the late swap running again. So I should have an initial idea for you guys on how much of TJ McConnell I have. Omega 2K1. Josh Hart or Max Strus? Josh Hart over Max Strus. So keep in mind with Max Strus, as well as he played in his first game of the season, he still played limited minutes. He just made all of his threes pretty much. It was not a repeatable performance, and he's still going to be on a minutes restriction. Josh Hart, on the other hand, is playing without Jalen Brunson, right? So you're looking at a massive role in all likelihood for Josh Hart. All right, so first run here, I have 33% of McConnell now. I want more of McConnell than that, so I'm going to run this again. I am certainly going to run this again. But good chunk of McConnell, at least so far. Some other questions here. We've got Richie Deasy wants to know for DK single entry, Alvarado and Jalen Green or TJ McConnell and Bobby Portis. Is there a way that you could get Alvarado and TJ McConnell in the same lineup? The answer for me is going to be Alvarado and Jalen Green, but it's tough because I like TJ McConnell more than every other player. Like, TJ McConnell is somebody who, all right, so just did another run. Yeah, now I've got 50% of McConnell, and I'll do one more run. I want this number on McConnell to potentially be even higher. So let's see. What would that do to some of my exposures? So I still kept 70% of Alvarado. I thought Alvarado was going to get dinged more because of the amount of McConnell I'm getting to. Comment God said, swap off Alvarado for TJ if I could fit him. Yeah. If that's just a 1-for-1 swap, like, look at it this way. Alvarado projects great for us relative to his salary. 25 fantasy points at $3,200. But McConnell's projected for 28 fantasy points at $4,300. So a couple of things. If you just do the 1v1 swap, McConnell in place of Alvarado, do it. but you shouldn't be leaving that much salary on the table for an NBA DFS lineup. You shouldn't have $1,000 in salary available to do a 1v1 swap. So if you were hand building a lineup, I think you went wrong somewhere if you have that much salary available to you. All right. Fitting in one more late swap here. Can I get to even more than the 50% of TJ McConnell? Jeff Williams, guard or small forward for $3,800 or less on DraftKings. That is going to be almost certainly Alvarado. Almost certainly. Let me go back and look at my exposures here. All right, so 3,800 or under, and then also look at our projections. So I think there's probably a pretty good chance you already have Alvarado in your lineup, but let's just keep looking through the projection. So yeah, Alvarado easily is going to be the highest for 25.16 fantasy points of all the guys within your parameters. Which once again, I'll put it on screen, $3,800 or less for a guard or a small forward. Okay, so yes, Alvarado. But let's assume now that you already have Alvarado in your lineup. Let's look for the next best guy in our projections. All right. Next best, Cooper's already locked. After that would be Landry Shamet at 3,700. Bigger role for Shamet as well in the absence of Brunson. Don't love him as an option, but if you already got Alvarado in the lineup, I think that's the next place you go. That's the next spot to go. Yeah, Jeff, threw it in the chat there besides Alvarado. Yeah, if it's besides Alvarado, then I think you should be going to Landry Shamet. All right, let's see what we got in the early going here. All right, Khalil Ware has got some more points on the board now. So not a terrible outing for him so far. He's up to 2 points, 2 boards, and an assist. Not great, not terrible either. You've also got Pele Larson in foul trouble for the Heat. And then you've got Diabate at, solid start for Diabate here still. The 2 points, 5 boards, an assist, and a block. So looks like not too much has changed there yet. Rust Cole saying Brandon Miller's stat line. Yeah, Brandon Miller's start, zeros across the board. Except for the turnover department. He's got 2 turnovers, so negative fantasy points for him. How much of Brandon Miller did I land on? Hopefully not a lot considering his start. 14% of them. Wish I had less, but not the end of the world either. Ankle breaker. DK 2v2, TJ McConnell and Josh Hart, or Io and Dante DiVincenzo. All like pretty decent options here, but give me the combination of TJ McConnell and Josh Hart. Go to McConnell and Hart. See if there's any other questions before we hit 7:30. Oh, did Brandon Miller just hit a 3? All right, so he's on the board now. All right, so that puts him up to, 2.5 fantasy points now for Brandon Miller. Well, better than where he was at. Not saying much, though. But he is not at negative fantasy points anymore. People talking about, Dern's another center off to a good start. 5 points, 5 boards, and assists and a block. This is kind of why, too, where I said at the top of the show, I wanted to get to more of Karl-Anthony Towns than I had, but it's just kind of hard to get him in more lineups. You had Dern available at center. You had Khalil Ware available at center. So, yeah, it was just kind of hard to have it really work there. See if there was any other questions here before the 7:30 game locks. Not quite. Let's go ahead and check really quick to see what we have for live bets available. I'll just change the filter here to all in-game right now because there's no games at stoppage. So let's just change this. Yeah, and you guys will see that there are a bunch of bets that are updating in real time here. So like Miami Heat's first quarter team total, that's one at plus 165 on DraftKings for over 23.5 points. These ones you have to be pretty quick to if you're going to play. See like that Heat one's already off the board. You have to be really fast and attentive to pay attention to the ones that are not at break, which is why, once again, I like to use this filter. Just turn it on only games at break, which takes into account like timeouts, quarters, half times, and then you'll see whatever bets end up showing up as plus EV just when the games are at break. And if you guys, once again, want to use that tool for yourself, you can sign up at OddShopper, any of our OddShopper packages, and get yourself 50% off with promo code LBL50. So NCAA tournament coming up. I'm going to be definitely doing some live betting for the NCAA tournament. I think Lofty's going to be doing some live streams where he watches games and places some bets as well. If you guys want to get in on the action, use that promo code LBL50 to get yourself 50% off any package. By the way, that also comes with your first week totally free on top of your first payment being 50% off. Cavs starting lineup: Harden, Mitchell, Merrill, Wade, and Mobley. So nothing crazy there. Max Strus remaining coming off the bench. I think there's some people who thought maybe Max Strus would be starting, but not the case for today. Is McConnell really only 14% owned? Let me see this. Starting lineup for the Wolves, by the way: DeSumo, DiVincenzo, McDaniels, Randall, and Gobert. So as we are projected for it. Okay. What is McConnell's ownership? Let me download the CSV. I mean, there's just no way that he's only 14%. 14%. I want to know the contests where TJ McConnell's only 14%. I want to start playing in those ones. All right. So in the fadeaway, McConnell is, by the way, Jalen Duren is up to 20 fantasy points in the first quarter. So we had the questions before. Kel'el Ware or Moussa Diabate. Well, Kel'el Ware is at 7.25 fantasy points. Diabate is at, 12 fantasy points right now? And then you got Duren at nearly 20. So maybe Duren over all of them. But let's see. The other thing, right? What's McConnell's ownership at? All right. Well, the CSV on DraftKings is certainly not correct because I downloaded the CSV and it's showing McConnell at 7%. All right. Let me just check in the app then. That's annoying. I just have to find one of my TJ McConnell lineups. Alvarado ended up coming in at 57% ownership. McConnell's 23% owned. McConnell's the best play on the slate at 23% ownership. So we're all TJ McConnell fans for today. I can't believe how low owned he is. Yeah, Frankie, TJ McConnell 18% owned in the $100 DK tournament. TJ McConnell 19% in the $6 on FanDuel. Roderick saying he's 21% in the $4. Devin saying he is a 14% in the $40 single entry. Greg Kell, 16% in the $12 single entry. Yeah, the field just didn't make swaps there. Larry setting up with 60% of McConnell. Yeah, what was my final number of McConnell that I got to? 54% of McConnell is what I have. So I have 54% of McConnell. I have 69%, nice, of Jose Alvarado. What do I have of Duren? Nice, I have 35% Duren. Pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with that. All right. Let's build out a DraftKings same game. Ooh, Cade Cunningham in the locker room. So this is actually interesting. I'm kind of curious to see. I haven't looked at the live bets when there's injury stuff that's happening. By the way, if you guys are just looking for a team total, there's some decent value right here on the Bison. That's Howard for over 93.5 points at plus 330. But I'm going to go back here. This is just something I've never looked at. This is really for my own interest than anything. I want to see what some of the markets do for in-game lines when there's an injury like this. Let's see if there's any props that end up popping up for the Pistons-Wizards game. How much of Cade do I have? I have 8% Cade. All right. Let's see. Any player props here for the Pistons? Might have to select more books here. Let's try this. Let's select more books because I just have FanDuel and DraftKings selected here. I'm curious if I take some of the dumber rec books. Like, let's just plug in BetMGM, Fanatics here. Let's see if any of those end up having props that project too low for Pistons guys. Here we go. Yeah, Asar Thompson. Here's an example. Asar Thompson, well, now it's gone, but at least for a second. Asar Thompson was plus 130 for over 9.5 points on BetMGM, and then most other books had it minus money. So that would be an example of picking off a spot that potentially is value for Cade leaving a game early. Interesting. Here's some other ones. DraftKings, first half team total on the Detroit Pistons here, under 60.5 points. Yeah, it does look like there are some pretty good value situations. Oh, here's the Asar Thompson bet. Yeah, still on the board. Over 9.5 points, plus 130. Interesting. I'm going to turn back on the only games at break filter here. All right, let's see what questions you guys have for me. If there aren't any, then I'm going to go ahead and build out a DraftKings same game parlay. But here we got a question from Nicholas Barrett for a FanDuel single entry, Mobley and Kevin Porter Jr. or Mitchell and Randall? Mitchell and Randall for me. Randall's one of the top plays on the slate with there being no Anthony Edwards for the Timberwolves. All right. Are there any other questions here? Let's check Discord. Nothing else. All right, let's build out our DraftKings same game parlay, and then we can call it a night. We've got all the pertinent news at this point. Let's see. Is there a boost available on DraftKings? That's also something that's going to matter a little bit. Is there a boost available, and what is it that the boost requires? Let's turn on DraftKings, turn off FanDuel. I got logged out of DraftKings from my phone, so I have to log back in there. North Star says the night is over. That's early. What makes the night over so far? Lots could change. How often do we come on here and somebody says this guy's broken the slate, this guy's ruined the slate, and it's only the first quarter, and it's often ends up not being the case. All right, so it looks like we have to do another 4-leg same-game parlay for DraftKings. What do we got? 30% 4-leg NBA same-game parlay or same-game parlay plus. By the way, one of the other things we could do as well with the same-game parlay pluses is you don't necessarily only have to build one for one game. We could take like 2 bets from the Philly-Denver game and 2 bets from Spurs and the Kings. We don't do that all that often, but it is something that we could look into doing here. As far as players who are questionable for the late games, we have Malik Monk is questionable for the Kings. That is going to matter, particularly for somebody like Russell Westbrook. And then for the Spurs, Dylan Harper's questionable. Luke Cornett is questionable. All right. So we've got here some unders that project well for Westbrook, but I don't want to touch them with Monk being questionable. Here's what I do like. Let's start with this. Wemby for over 2.5 threes. He's been shooting a ton of threes as of late, Victor Wembanyama, and also becoming a crazy potent part of his game. This month, Wemby is shooting over 40% from 3 on 8.5 attempts. In his last 3 games, he's attempted 9, 10, and 15 threes. 34 3-point attempts over his last 3 games. He is shooting a ton of them right now. He's making them at a high clip. We've got him projected for nearly 3 threes. The line is 2.5. So we got this winning, right around 50% of the time, but plus 124 odds. I like this. I like this line on Victor Wembanyama. Let's see what else projects well here. Let's see what else. Like I said, gonna avoid the Westbrook props for now. We'll come back to this. Let's look at the Philly-Denver game. Oh, this game actually has a lot more plus EV bets than... So maybe we'll just stick with the... So if you guys want to bet the Wembanyama prop individually, certainly makes sense. But I kind of prefer just building a same game parlay out for this game. Because look, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 bets from the 76ers Nuggets game that are plus EV, and a lot of them are towards the under as well. Here's what I like about this. This game has an immense amount of blowout risk. The last I looked, by the way, starting lineup for the Bucks, it is Ryan Rollins, Kevin Porter Jr., Taurean Prince, Kyle Kuzma, and Jericho Sims. So let's build out the DraftKings same game parlay boost, and then we'll go look at the projected or the DraftKings and FanDuel DFS projections now that we have a little bit of a different than expected starting lineup for the Bucks. But anyway, I like the idea of building an SGP here with the blowout angle. Denver is now a 16-point favorite against Philly. So if we take, say, like under 2.5 assists on Aaron Gordon, this is not a bad blowout angle either. Over 3.5 assists for Cameron Payne. Somebody could play extra minutes in garbage time for Philly. Also a bet that projects well for us. Adem Bona, another guy could potentially play garbage time in Philly. Got him projected over 0.5 assists as being a decent bet. And then Justin Edwards, the top projected bet in the game for under 5.5 RA. That gives us a 4-leg same game parlay here that plays into a blowout angle. So I'll plug this in, and then we'll see what kind of swaps we might want to make for Milwaukee. All right, no other super chats here. All right, let's plug this in really quick. All right. Aaron Gordon under 2.5 assists. We'll see what this ends up coming out to as well with the boost. So Aaron Gordon under 2.5 assists. Cameron Payne over 3.5 assists. Looks like there is a slightly better line on the over-under market as opposed to the 4+ market for what it's worth. A lot of assist props here because we're also going with Bona for over 0.5 assists. Just need 1 assist from Bona there. And then under 5.5 rebounds plus assists for Justin Edwards. Let's see if that line is still available. Under 5.5 rebounds plus assists. It is. So with the boost, that comes out to plus 1690. Which let me bet $7 on. Cool. All right. We've got that locked in. So once again, plus 1690, Aaron Gordon under 2.5 assists, Cameron Payne over 3.5 assists, Bona over 0.5 assists, and Justin Edwards under 5.5 rebounds plus assists. Let's go to the data hub now. See what we have for projections. Looks like it just got updated. Perfect timing. It's 7:43. Projections got updated at 7:43. Got the timing down here. All right, let's check out Milwaukee. So once again, Milwaukee's starting lineup now accounted for in our projections. They are going with Porter and Rollins in the backcourt. Here's the difference. Ousmane Dieng, who was previously projected to start, is now coming off the bench, and instead it's Taurean Prince starting. And Taurean Prince is priced at 4K, so he's not all that appealing. The real significant impact of this is that if you had Ousmane Dieng in lineups, he looks significantly worse now. Ousmane Dieng at $4,500 now coming off the bench projects for 20.5 fantasy points for us. Kyle Kuzma, we've got projected fine 26 fantasy points. People are asking about, for 26 minutes and 24.5 fantasy points. Yeah, Taurean Prince is not a very appealing option in the starting lineup. And so if people want to swap to Prince, you shouldn't. I don't think you want to play Taurean Prince today. But most likely some of you guys played Ousmane Dieng. Probably want to get him out of lineups. As far as guys that are actually projecting well from the Bucks overall, Jericho Sims projects for 18 fantasy points at $3,600. That's not all that appealing at center. Kevin Porter Jr. looks okay in the backcourt, 40 fantasy points at $7,800. But point guard's also loaded today. It is a totally loaded position. But let's make some swaps and see what happens. I had like 5% of Ousmane Dieng, and I don't want to have that anymore. Is there any news on Cade? I have not seen, other than him going to the locker room, I haven't seen an update. I've been as much as I can, I've been paying attention to some of the Twitter news over the course of the show. Like, I'm mostly looking for players getting ruled out or starting lineups, but I was looking a little bit on my computer for any Cade updates. I didn't see anything other than the fact that he just appears to still be in the locker room. North Star. No, our projections are so our fantasy projections are going to be different from site to site because the scoring there, but the minutes are always going to be the same, right? So like it's going to be the same minutes projections across both sites. So here for example, Ryan Rollins 29.44 minutes on FanDuel. Ryan Rollins on DraftKings 29.44 minutes. Minutes are going to be the same. The fantasy points are going to be different. That's just because the scoring is different across the two sites. Is Bobby Portis playable? Yeah, he's not a strong option, but I have him in 2% of lineups. So like if you needed to play him as a last man in, that's okay. But he's not somebody to prioritize or anything like that. Oh, well, Chauncey is 67% of Portis. That's a lot. That's a lot. Sal in chat wants to know any love for Taurean Prince. No, he projects pretty poorly for us. We got him projected for, 13 fantasy points? Yeah, 22 minutes and 13.5 fantasy points for Taurean Prince. 0.62 fantasy points per minute. You would need to be getting well over 30 minutes for Taurean Prince to project well at his points per minute rate. Just not a very good option. I don't think this is going to change all that much for us. North Star, why is their algo giving two different prices? Because they have different prices. What do you mean? Like, why do we have a different price on FanDuel for Rollins than DraftKings? Just because that's what it is. And keep in mind, too, and then the sites also have different scoring mechanisms. So that also informs how they price certain players. Just the sites are different. Yeah. Oh, the actual sites. Yeah. So the sites, they have different scoring. And then on top of it, they also just have different ways that they price players. But yeah, like the biggest component is going to be the difference in how sites just do the scoring for DFS. And also keep in mind as well, you're rostering, the roster construction is different on DraftKings compared to FanDuel. You get the utility spot, the guard forward spot. There's just a lot of inherent differences about DraftKings to FanDuel. And that ultimately leads to different pricing, which we want also. You don't want, at least to me, maybe you guys feel differently. I want to have a little bit of variety in my choices as a consumer. I don't want everything to be the exact same on FanDuel and DraftKings. I don't want all the contests to have the same payout structures. I don't want the scoring to be the same, the lineup construction to be the same. Or else, what's the point of there even being two different products? So I like them being different. It also creates a little bit more competition. It opens up, a little bit more variety in the games, and the sites kind of compete against each other to try to be better or different. It's better for us if the sites have little differences as opposed to them being exactly the same. Let's see what else we have here. No other super chats. No other questions in Discord. Any updates to the fantasy scoring here in these games? What do we have on the Kalel Ware versus Moussa Diabate? Neither of them scored any fantasy points since we last looked at it. They're both, neither of them are having particularly great games at this point. Crazy good start for Moussa Diabate. And I actually think this was the downfall of Diabate. As soon as people started victory lapping him in chat, he was like, I gotta cool it. He's not scored a single fantasy point since people victory lapped him in chat. Am I wrong on that? Or did he just turn the faucet off at that moment? All right, got my late swaps running here again. People asking about MLB packages. Not settled yet, but it should be up. Ooh, Cade out for the game. Back injury. Wow. Well, that sucks for anybody who played Cade today. I'm not that much different than the field on Cade. I've got what I said before when I was reading off. I think it was 8%. And he ended up coming in at 12%. So I'm marginally underweight to the field. Hopefully it's not too bad of an injury, though. That does suck. See, I have, 8.7% of Cade I have. I don't have Cade unders to tweet today, unfortunately. At least I don't think I do. I think I have an over on Cade. I'm pretty sure I have Cade over 1.5 threes. So the opposite. No goo for today. Oh, that was on Bet365. So I think that does end up getting voided there. Still annoying though, because I thought that was a good bet. Very true. Yeah, Ben Willie, somebody's about to ship it with Jenkins. That is the one underrated thing that's really annoying about the in-game player injuries that people don't think about, is then you get random guys who end up having big games when they probably shouldn't. Although with that said, Jenkins is under 1% owned, so it shouldn't really impact the slate too much just because he's so low owned. And it stands to reason anybody who played Danis Jenkins today probably built out pretty shitty lineups otherwise. So I don't think Danis Jenkins will end up mattering. Let's see what we've got here. Good question. Chris Morrell, does an injury like that affect how you construct late swap? It can. It can. So we have live scoring accounted for in our Sims now. So it certainly could end up impacting it. If Cade was more popular, I had him in more lineups, it would probably have a bigger impact on my lineups. But for a slate like this, where I have under 10% of him and he's right around 10% owned, it's not going to like have too big of an impact. In the right scenario, though, it can massively change how I approach my lineups. Just not this particular one. Going to do one more late swap run. And actually, one thing that I will do to take into account the Cade injury, on the projections page, I'm actually going to change his projection to exactly what it is right now, just because we know how many fantasy points he's going to have. Right, so Cade is at 10 fantasy points. So I'm going to put Caden in the late swap tool for 10 fantasy points, and I'm going to change his variance to 0 in the late swap tool. And that actually will allow the late swap tool to take into account the Cade injury. So that is something you could do here to take it into account in the tools. All right, let's see if there's any other questions in Discord. Not at the moment. So I am finishing up my late swaps here. Nothing really changed all that much for me, not in a significant way. Yeah, I had like a couple players move 1 or 2 percentage points, but nothing crazy worth commenting on. So let me upload this. Got my lineups all uploaded. All right, so if you guys haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let's give one last look at the live in-game bets. Let's see if we go to, we got the stoppage selected. Okay, let's see if there's any other good bets here. Interesting. Looks like FanDuel lies some pretty big lines on games to go to overtime. If you guys just want a total here, here's an interesting one. And also just something where it kind of becomes apparent value when you're looking at comparing lines here. We've got in here the Wyoming's playing Wichita State. BetMGM has over 129.5 at -125. DraftKings has a -160. Fanatics has a -165. FanDuel has a -175. So if you guys have a BetMGM account, go bet Wyoming and Wichita State over 129.5. That is courtesy of the OddShopper in-game live odds tool here. And if you guys want to try it for yourself, 50% off with the promo code LBL50. I see we got one final super chat here, so let's answer that before heading out. Frankie Lofton, For DK, Booker and Reed or Mitchell and Dosunmu, and why? Sure. Let me go ahead and look at my lineups. So just to get an idea for where I'm at on these guys. So a couple of things. I think a lot of these guys are good options, right? As far as Booker goes, there's no Grayson Allen. That benefits him a little bit. As far as Naz Reid goes, he's going to be benefiting a little bit from there being no Anthony Edwards. Then you've got Dosunmu and Mitchell. Okay. So my answer here is going to be Dosunmu and Mitchell. And the reason why is because of all the guys you have listed there, I think Dosunmu is pretty clearly the best option. We now have him confirmed in the starting lineup with there being no Anthony Edwards. Starting lineup for the Timberwolves is confirmed as DiVincenzo, Dosunmu, McDaniels, Randall, Gobert. So Naz Reid had a chance to start if we end up seeing a smaller ball lineup from the Timberwolves. He didn't. That makes him a little bit of a weaker option. But primarily the reason Dosunmu and Mitchell is I've got Dosunmu in close to 50% of my lineups. He's the primary benefactor from Anthony Edwards being out. So Frankie, Mitchell and Dosunmu. And I believe that's all the questions. Oh, one more. Father of three wants to know Bobby Portis or Naz Reid. That for me is going to be Naz Reid. Naz Reid. And then Rabasho also said Moose checked out, can't score, not on the court. All right, yeah, so Diabate still struggling, Diabate, since that hot start. Let's see. Oh, no, he's back in now. Still outscoring Kel'el Ware. He's got 3 more rebounds and 1 more block, so he's up about 5 fantasy points. All right, guys. Thank you all very much for watching. If you have not done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Good luck with all your lineups. We'll be back here tomorrow for more late swaps. Later, guys.